Hello and a very warm welcome along to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster, as I look forward to the racing action on Saturday, the 30th of November. It is, of course, a very big day's racing across Britain with the big Coral Gold Cup meeting at Newbury and the fighting fifth card at Newcastle, amongst a number of very good races that you'll be able to get your teeth into. Now, if you happen to be discovering this YouTube channel for the first time, I tip horses each way. So essentially, they're always going to be, all being well, 5 to 1 or bigger. So if you back them and they run into a place, you're at least going to get your money back. But of course, over the months and seasons, we've had some very, very big prize winners and some big prize doubles and trebles as well. It's a question of sticking with it and playing the long game. And over the seasons and calendar years since we started this service back in July of 2020, we've always showed a profit, and I hope that will always continue to be the case. If you're joining us for the first time, press the subscribe button just below this screen, the red button, and you'll be able to follow my suggestions absolutely free. If you're more interested in more suggestions and selections from me at my premium service over at Out in Front and Patreon, you can join up by clicking on the link which is in the description box just below this screen. And you'll be able, for example, on Saturday to get my 4 selections, including 3 at Newbury and 1 at Newcastle. They include the Coral Gold Cup and also the rehearsal chase amongst the 4. There'll also be suggestions on Sunday as well. And at Out in Front, I cover all the weekend racing as well as all the big festivals. And often during the week, I'll post a few as well if I fancy something. Well, the suggestions are for free here at Sportsbet. And last week I put up 2 selections. One of them, unfortunately, a non-runner, was Dare to Shout. The other one was Inishore, who was really heavily backed from the 6 to 1 that I suggested and highlighted down to around 100 to 30. He was in front in the Berkshire National when he slipped going into the 16th fence and really blundered, and he just couldn't recover after that. That was the end of his race. So we got the value, but we didn't get to the luck. And I noticed somebody in the comments saying, how dare you tip a 3 to 1 shot? Well, of course, it wasn't 3 to 1 when I tipped it. That's the whole blooming point. Getting the value, it was 6 to 1. And I can't be held responsible if people following this service put their money on and maybe help the odds move a touch, or whether it just happens to be that I've highlighted a horse that is ahead of the money that's going to come in for it. Well, this week I've got 1 selection for you. It's actually at Doncaster, and I'm going to go straight to it now. It's in the 127. Now, this is a really trappy little race, and it caught my eye. A 2-mile, 3 furlong handicap hurdle on good to soft ground at Town Moor. There are only 8 runners. Now, when I did all my homework on this, there was no early prices to go on because it isn't one of the major races of the day. But because it involves 3 last time out winners, I was very much hoping that my selection would be a proper each way price. Well, Bowling Buddy is a horse that's going to be prominent in the markets, making its debut for Adam Nicol, who had his Wise Eagle win in very impressive fashion at Musselburgh on Friday. This horse was bought for £58,000 at the Horses in Training sales last month, following a fine run of form for Ollie Murphy. And that saw the 6-year-old rattle up a late summer and early autumn hat-trick that included wins at Cartmel, Perth and Wetherby. Now he starts live for Nicol off a £15 higher mark than his handicap win at Perth in September, but I think he should still be competitive, and they've taken the trouble to book the former champion jockey Brian Hughes, taking over from a £10 claimer who rode the horse last time. Yellow Car for David Killahena and Graham McPherson has won 2 of his last 3 starts, most recently scoring at Fontwell over 2 miles 5 in a novice's hurdle in late September. And he starts his handicap career here off a mark of 124. Not an easy horse to assess, but I think a fairly sound surface seems to be the main reason. Connections have targeted Doncaster for him, and with no rain forecast, he should get his ground. Nordic Tiger is trained by Harry Durham. He's won 3 of his last 4 races last season, but hasn't been seen for more than 7 months. There's no doubt he was certainly going the right way in the spring, and he showed a very good attitude to score on his final start at Southall in the spring over 2.5 miles. He stayed on really determinedly to get up in the very last stride. He's £8 higher now, but the capable Alice Stevens, who rode a really nice winner at Newbury on Friday takes £5 off, so that should help his cause. Now, the top weight is Samuel Spade for Ben Pauling, whose horses are running well. And Sam Spade won handicaps at Taunton and Huntingdon last season and shaped with plenty of promise on his return at Sandown when he was third there 3 weeks ago. The up-and-coming conditional rider Callum Pritchard is on board, claiming £7, and he's back on board. A bold show is anticipated from Samuel Spade. And the longer trip may well help the mare Irish Lullaby, who's trained by Oliver Greenall and Josh Guerrero. She shaped as though she wanted more of a trip when she kept on in fourth at Aintree last time on her first start since a breathing operation. She runs here off a £2 lower mark as well. And so to my selection. Well, I'm interested in a horse here called Right So Tom, trained by Joe Tizard and the mount of Tom Bellamy. He sends this horse up from the West Country all the way to Yorkshire. And it could have been found, I think, a good opportunity to get off the mark in Britain on only its second start since it left the Irish yard of Thomas Mullins. Now, this is a 5-year-old who raced just 4 times for Mullins but showed plenty of ability, finishing second at Fairyhouse on its racecourse debut to the subsequent Galway Hurdle winner and Grade 1 runner-up Zarak the Brave. That's very good form. 4 months later, on only his second ever appearance, Right So Tom finished sixth to Lossiemouth in the Grade 1 Triumph Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival. And then he finished fourth in the Grade 1 Anniversary Hurdle behind Zento at Aintree the following month. This is a horse who kept very, very good company that particular season. He was then found an easy opportunity and he duly hacked up at Cork in a maiden hurdle in May of 2023. That's the success story of Right So Tom. But then things change. After that, something obviously went wrong with the horse. And the gelding missed all of last season. So quite what the setback was, I don't know. But he was duly sold on to Joe Tizard out of Thomas Mullins's yard. And now after a total absence of 546 days, he was entitled to be rusty when he made his debut for Tizard in a warm handicap hurdle at Ascot 4 weeks ago. That was the race won by Our Champ, who incidentally was recommended at 20 to 1 at Out in Front. That gave my subscribers there a very happy start to the month of November. But there's no doubt about it that Right So Tom shaped well enough until he got tired before 2 out, suggesting that he still retains a good amount, if not all, of that early ability. Now, he's been dropped £3 since then for that British debut effort, and is sure to strip fitter with just a 4-week break this time, which is enough for him not to suffer from the dreaded bounce. I think that the step up in trip as well is going to help, and the drop in class also. And I think that could contribute to a big effort from Right So Tom. Now, when I've made my notes, there were no firms going up, and I was hoping that he was going to be an 11 or 2 shot or thereabouts to ensure an each way price. I'm seeing now that prices are starting to go up, and they put him in at 5 to 1 with Coral and Ladbrokes. I'm hoping he might get a little bit of 11 or 2, who knows, maybe even a little bit more. But I think Right So Tom is going to run well, and backing him each way, as long as he hits the frame, we're going to at least get our money back. And I think he could very well go and win. So that's Right So Tom for me, 127 Doncaster Saturday. If you're interested in more of my analysis and suggestions, you can find them at Out in Front at the link in the description box below this screen. But for now, for this weekend, I'll say goodbye and wish you the very best of luck, whatever you're batting. Bye-bye for now.